Hey guys, welcome to another huge episode of Triggered. It's great to be in the studio live with you guys this evening. I hope everyone's getting ready for Christmas. I'm psyched. I know my kids are really psyched. The shopping's been a disaster, but we have had quite a weekend, and we had quite a weekend in Phoenix. So we'll get into all of that. And for all of you celebrating tomorrow, happy Festivus as well. That's the old Seinfeld reference for those of you who aren't boomers like myself. Probably not officially a boomer, but I feel like it more and more each and every day. J.D. Vance absolutely brought the house down at AmFest, at Turning Points USA's big event yesterday, declaring that in America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. The left is absolutely melting down. Now remember about that, guys. I spoke about it in my show. I've spoken about it in my speech. You saw it if you follow me on X. In the last week, so many discoveries have been made about how DEI literally destroyed an entire generation of mostly, young white males who couldn't get into good colleges, couldn't get job promotions, couldn't get a job because they didn't check various boxes. And again, not to candidates who were equal or more qualified than them, but to candidates that were likely in many cases less qualified than them. But then they were told they have to apologize for their privilege. The privilege of not getting into college, the privilege of not getting the promotion you deserve, the privilege of not getting the job that you deserve. Well, guys, that's over. We talked about my father's executive order last week. JD spoke about it in his speech. I spoke about it. So there's a lot to get into. Later on the show, I'll actually play my full remarks from the weekend, so make sure to stick around for that as well. And make sure you guys are always liking, sharing, subscribing, so you never miss one of these major episodes, okay? But the like, share, subscribe, just hit it now, okay? Get after it. We got to beat the algorithm. We got to get this stuff out there. Share it with your friends. If you have political chats or if you have some crazy liberal that needs to actually hear the truth, send them here, okay? You guys are the front lines of defense in this insanity. It's a big deal. Remember, guys, if you missed the show here on Rumble, go over to Apple, go over to Spotify podcasts. We're also there, so as soon as we're done here, we'll put it up there the next day. If you get your podcast that way, if your friends cover their podcast that way, make sure everyone is seeing it. And for all of the top headlines that we cover on the show, go over to my news app, MXM News, like minute by minute, MXM, where you can get the mainstream news without the mainstream bias. And of course, don't forget about our brave sponsors for having the guts to support this program. So if you follow politics, you know everyone's got an opinion. But on Polymarket, you actually get real odds on what's likely to happen. Polymarket is a prediction market where people trade on real events, elections, debates, policy moves, and it doesn't stop at politics. There are markets on the economy, tech, sports, pop culture, and much, much more. It's all live, it's transparent, and it gives you a real-time indicator of what people really think is going to happen. Not what, someone was paid, some pollster was paid to kind of ask the question the right way to get the answer. But if people are putting their money on something, they probably know what they're thinking, okay? So give it a look at polymarket.com. And now, let's get into all of the top headlines. Vice President J.D. Vance delivered a masterful speech at Turning Points USA's AmFest Festival in Phoenix yesterday. And one line in particular is driving the left absolutely nuts.
We stand against treating anybody, and I love what Nikki said about this. We don't treat anybody different because of their race or their sex. So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are. not on ethnicity and things they can't control. We don't persecute you for being male, for being straight, for being gay, for being anything. The only thing that we demand is that you be a great American patriot, and if you're that, you're very much on our team.
Well, 2024, buddy, I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas as well. Jules, 2531. Junior, you hit it out of the ballpark. Your speak spoke volumes about how everyday people feel. I think a lot of people, what JD just said, resonated. And it's true. We have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. We will judge people based on who they are, not quotas, not fake diversity metrics that the left uses as just another way to politicize and weaponize our culture and our most vital institutions. That's over. More than anything, we're bringing back common sense and ending reckless policies that do nothing but harm us, like the diversity lottery. It turns out the killer in the Brown shooting, Claudio Manuel Valente, allegedly, a 48-year-old Portuguese national, was in this country because of the diversity visa lottery, a program that literally picks people at random to come to America, not someone who could contribute, not someone who's going to create jobs, not someone who adds value, but just randomly. So you could end up with a freaking terrorist. Think about that. We have a lottery to decide who gets to come into America. Again, not based on skills, not based on what they contribute, just pure random chance. And this is unfortunately the result. Now, thankfully, the diversity visa lottery is being paused, and it's long past due. But Congress needs to end it for good. And remember, guys, my father tried to end this program back in 2017 after another attack. But Democrats and even some Washington rhinos blocked him. They said this was racist to want a vet who actually comes into our country. Well, how's that working out, guys? Doesn't seem like it's a winner. The diversity lottery makes up to 50,000 green cards available each year. 50,000 people picked by lottery from countries with low immigration to the U.S., and Democrats think that's good policy. I don't know why. Nearly 20 million people applied for the 2025 lottery. We're supposed to just randomly pick from that pool and hope we don't get a serial killer. Just hope we get the next Elon Musk or some genius who actually belongs in this country, rather than just finding those people, finding that talent, nurturing it, and bringing them to America where they'd likely want to come. Guys, that's not immigration policy. That's insanity. Democrats want to open borders. They want sanctuary cities and random lottery for citizenship. We want merit-based immigration that puts Americans first and brings in people who can actually create and benefit our citizens. Now, let's talk about something else the fake news media is desperately trying to ignore, because it's another massive win for the American people. Last week, the Trump administration announced deals with 9 major pharmaceutical companies to dramatically lower drug prices for Americans. And the price drops are staggering. Just so we're clear, let me give you a few examples. A hepatitis C drug was $24,920. Almost $25,000. $25,000. Now it's $2,400. That's a lot. Okay? That's over a 90% reduction. A diabetes drug was $330. Now it's $100. Asthma medication was $265. Now it's $89. This is called most favored nation pricing. It means Americans will pay the same price that other people in other countries pay. No more getting ripped off while we literally subsidize the rest of the world. That's how it worked for years. Americans would pay $1,000 for a drug that they're selling for $100 in Europe. Think of how insane that is. American companies, American innovation, probably some taxpayer subsidies in that. And the Americans were the ones getting screwed? Not anymore. Check this out.
Nation drug pricing is about being fair to the American consumer. We pay, on average, 3 times more for the exact same drugs put in the same bottles in the same factories that same product sells for in Europe. The president said, no mas, no more. It's got to all be fairly priced across the globe, and we've been pushing for most favored nation pricing, doing the unthinkable with bold action to ask pharmaceutical companies to agree to drop their prices in the United States. Today, massive news, 9 more companies are getting into the program. That means now we have 14 out of the 17 big companies are in, and I'm proud that the president was able to push without any hesitation to make sure that we've gotten all these companies on board. It's just bold leadership, it has bold vision, and it achieves bold goals.
And here's the thing. These companies are also committing $150 billion in new U.S. manufacturing investments. They're bringing jobs and production back to America. We're actually going to control our supply chain for a change, so we're not dependent on China for making most of our pharmaceuticals. They're donating pharmaceutical ingredients to our strategic national reserve. Again, so China can't bend us over a barrel when they release their next pandemic. Biden couldn't do it. Obama couldn't do it. Bush certainly couldn't do it. Trump gets it done. Why? Because my father understands the art of the deal. He understands leverage. These companies want access to the American market. Great. Then treat American consumers fairly. It's as simple as that, guys. And by the way, where's the media coverage of this? This is a really big deal, right? Everyone talks about healthcare costs and stuff like that. Well, I figured your prescription drugs are a big part of those costs for most Americans. These are life-saving medications becoming affordable for millions of Americans. But the media would rather talk about anything else because they cannot stand giving my father credit for anything. And what are radical leftists doing instead? Well, if you're Bernie Sanders, you're literally blocking a bill to turbocharge pediatric cancer research. Yes, you heard that right. Bernie Sanders is literally blocking a bill to speed up pediatric child cancer research. This is absolutely despicable. Check this out.
Something that happened last night on the Senate floor makes my blood boil. It has to do with a bill regarding pediatric cancer. It's called the Michaela Nalen Give Kids a Chance Act. The bill is named for Michaela Nalen, one of the bill's fiercest advocates. She was a 16-year-old with cancer. She knew all about it. She spent years advocating for this bill. She advocated until the final hours of her life. She died October the 29th at just 16 years old. In the tragedy of her passing, Congress found renewed spirit to pass this bill. It was renamed in her honor. It quickly passed through the U.S. House via unanimous consent. Bipartisan. Everybody is for it. It's really simple. All it does is allow for more comprehensive drug treatments to be used for these young cancer patients. It finally reached the Senate floor last night. It was all teed up for the Senate to give its unanimous consent. And then it would go to the president, who would sign it into law for Christmas here to help our nation's sick children. All it needed, and what we thought was going to happen, was unanimous consent on the Senate floor last night. That is not what happened. It failed because a single senator stuck up their hand and denied unanimous consent, killing the bill for now, stopping it from becoming law for Christmas. You had all the pediatric cancer advocacy community in the gallery watching. They had been invited to watch final passage. Instead, they had to watch this despicable act.
Isn't it interesting how those who claim to be the most compassionate show a different side of themselves when it actually matters? There were cancer patients and families in the Senate watching from above because it was expected to pass. Now, they'll have to wait longer, into the new year. But where's the outrage from the regime media? Imagine for a second if a Republican senator did this. Every GOP lawmaker would be getting grilled about it, day in, day out, 24/7, till it passed. And speaking of needing to get grilled, an out-of-control woke school district in Pennsylvania fired a bus driver for putting up an English-only sign because a student was constantly bullying other students in Spanish. And the school district fired the bus driver. Check this out.
He was bullying somebody, telling them to do something they shouldn't do. How do you keep control of your bus if you have no control?
The district and Roar bus writing in a joint statement today that the investigation had finished quickly after Crawford admitted to installing the note, writing, quote, "The relevant facts of the situation were fully known and discussed among district and Roar leadership, and that it was, quote, determined that the conduct did not align with the standards and expectations for student transportation providers."
Do you regret making the sign?
Maybe I should have worded it different. Maybe I should have said bullying has no bullying in any language, but I didn't mean it to be anything but to correct him. I dedicated everything I had to driving bus. And it was for the kids. I loved the kids. And the kids love me.
Well, she's now suing the school district over the firing. And based on what we've heard, I'd say she has a pretty strong case. And at AmFest this weekend, we saw Americans rally around patriots who are under attack from leftists just for doing their jobs. Have you been following the story of Jeannie, the Target worker who was harassed by a psycho-liberal for wearing a freedom shirt, you know, the shirt that Charlie Kirk wore? Well, she came out on stage at AmFest, and the crowd went absolutely wild.
Benny, I hope you don't mind, but I brought a special guest to come celebrate AmFest with us.
Oh, you mean America's Target grandmother?
Grandma Jeannie is in the house.
And wearing the famous Charlie Kirk red Target shirt.
KCL2 said, so classy, she's amazing, and she is. One of the highest rated employees at Target. I believe maybe she was even ranked #1, and they tried getting her canceled for wearing a freedom shirt. Well, I got to meet her backstage as well, and it was a great honor to see regular people who are willing to actually stand up. So, you know, that was incredible. I love that she got that kind of reception at Turning Point. It was incredible. So this weekend's event obviously was very powerful and profound. It was the first one since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And I think I've, headlined, at least to some degree, pretty much every one that has ever existed. So that was a hard one for me as well. JD talked about how after Charlie's assassination, he stayed up late into the night, rewatching the video, trying to make sense of something so evil and so senseless. Even Nicki Minaj, who was out there, which was amazing, also got to hang out with her backstage. What a cool woman, was there. And she spoke about how my father has given people hope. She said something really important about how you can want to uplift one group without tearing down another, and how she's not backing down any longer. Check this out.
How have you been involved with speaking about politics? What was kind of the turning point for you? Yeah.
What was the turning point? Well, I just got tired of being pushed around. Yeah. Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there. That's right. So when you've had enough, you realize, wait a minute, why do I even care about these people and what they think? Who are they? They don't even know who they are. So I'm not going to back down anymore. I'm not going to back down ever again.
Amen.
Amazing stuff. That's not easy in her business, being probably the greatest female rapper of all time and going against the music industry and all of that to actually stand up for her Christian faith. This all started when she stood up for Nigerian Christians who were being massacred in their own country, and she's had enough. So that takes guts. And here's what I want everyone to understand. The movement isn't about egos or accolades or just one news cycle. It's about restoring this country to greatness and getting results. We've seen how much this country declines when Democrats are in charge. Just how much corruption runs rampant, i.e. Minnesota. I mean, just look at what's happening in Georgia and what we've learned in the last few days. Fulton County admitted just last week, following a DOJ lawsuit, that more than 130 tabulator receipts, which are the pieces of paper that contain vote tabulation information for a particular voting machine, they were all unsigned in 2020. Unsigned. How does that happen? That means hundreds of thousands of ballots were legally certified. The state of Georgia is admitting this now. Hundreds of thousands of ballots were illegally certified. Think about that. I mean, isn't that what they indicted my father for calling it out and saying, hey, this is weird. I want Raffensperger, the then Attorney General of the state, to look into this. It seems odd. Biden won the state by about 11,000 votes, and yet a few 100,000 of them possibly weren't even certified? Even Tim Walz can do that math. So we can have our disagreements in this movement. We can hash out our business from time to time, but let's remember who and what we're really up against and what we're really fighting for, okay? That's the insanity. Yet another conspiracy theory proven right. This time, unfortunately, it took 5 years rather than the usual 5 months, maybe even 5 days or 5 minutes these days, but we were right. Again, as always, they literally indicted my father in Georgia for talking about these things and for doing that, and yet here he is. Years later, millions in legal fees later, Trump was right again. The biggest beneficiaries of what we're building right now is for young people, like so many of you here on Rumble, and who are in that room at AmFest in Phoenix. That was at the core of Charlie's mission. He wasn't building this for him. He built it for everyone around him and for everyone who would come after. Those in college, those in high school, and honestly, some of the biggest beneficiaries of the work we're all doing. Some of them are just kids. Some of them haven't even been born yet. That's who we're doing this all for the ones who will inherit whatever we leave behind. And when they look back, I want them to see that there was a generation that understood what was at stake, that didn't look away, that didn't take the easy path. I want them to know that when it mattered, we all stood up. There is no backup to America, guys. There's no plan B. There is no other place to go. All those places that we thought may have been close, UK, Ireland, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the European Union, any of those guys, all lost. This is it. Let's make sure we get it right. And I'll play my full remarks at Turning Point in just a moment, but I want to wish you guys all a very, very Merry Christmas. I want to remind you guys to all like, to share, to subscribe. I'm going to take some questions from the audience for a little bit, before we play that. But guys, remember, hit that like button, share this with your friends so they see these things, right? The people that said, oh yeah, no, Georgia was totally legit. I can't believe Trump would actually do that. Right again. Remember when he said he was spying, the Obama campaign was spying on him? Well, he was right about that one too. I can't name one that Trump wasn't actually right about, okay? Get this stuff out there. The media's not going to cover that, obviously. They told us for years, if you said that, you were a racist, you were a misogynist, you were a conspiracy theorist, you're an idiot, like whatever it was. They tried jailing you for saying things that were, again, proven to be right. So it's important for you guys to like, to share, to subscribe. Check out our sponsors down below in the video description. And don't forget to download the MXM News app today. So let's take some questions. It's early, we got some time. I want you to see my commentary, if those of you who missed it over the weekend. But Let's do that. Let's see. Yeah, annex Canada, see how that works out for you. LOL. Yeah, no, honestly, end up with 2 more liberal senators. Canada, I love Canada. I go up there a lot to go hunting. They got their own problems. I'm not sure I want to incorporate their politics into America these days. Will your dad ever retweet the Peep meme that helped kick Hillary's ass in 2016? Would love to see some Peep Trump trolling the Dems again. I don't know. That's, if they can bring it back and revitalize it and bring it back to sort of perhaps a little bit more current relevance, it would certainly be funny. People lose their minds over those things, and that's when the conspiracy theories start flowing, and especially from the left on that one. But funny is funny, and that's the difference between us and them. The left can't meme. Sam0400, Mr. Trump, your Insta post created a community behind Frank en banc paired with USD1. Maybe a shout out to the community. Yeah, I don't know enough about that one, but I'll try to check it out. Let's see. History repeats itself, I guess. Canadians got robbed of a proper Q Reddit during the other world wars as well. Not sure I know what that even means, but I'm just going through these scrolls a little fast sometimes, so I'm trying to just catch which ones I can. How does President plan to end white erasure? Well, again, I don't know about the white erasure, but guys that are more qualified for a position or a school, they signed an executive order last week banning that. You can't discriminate based on those things. Before you couldn't discriminate on any of the check boxes, but you could clearly discriminate against whites, and they did for far too long. Everyone needs to be equal. That's what equality is about. Not equality of outcome, not trying to level a playing field so someone who's otherwise not qualified or underperforming ends up in the same place, just equality. I think that's what we all probably want, unless I guess you're a beneficiary of those things or have been gaming those systems for far too long. Probably like the trans community, pretending to be female and competing in female sports while being a male. Probably a great way to get a scholarship. And if you can't call out the obvious BS in that one, I guess you get to be a state champion, you get to get a scholarship, and you get to displace a woman that worked really hard for many years as an athlete who would have otherwise gotten that scholarship, and so on and so forth. We've all been watching it for a long time. That nonsense is over. Let's see. Canada still has DEI. Yeah, Canada has a lot of DEI, unfortunately. I mean, I'm sure that'll get them nowhere. But everyone has to figure it out on their own. It's not for me to tell Canada what to do. If they want to keep voting for those things, I guess they can, deal with the consequences of it. Yaholo, when's your wedding date? I don't know. I brought on Bettina the other day as a quick little hi. Got engaged last weekend at Camp David. It was awesome. Just great being with a woman that's I have so much fun with. It's been a long time, so that's been awesome. But we haven't set a wedding date yet. But probably sooner than later. This is not going to be one of those. I don't think we're not going to try to drag this thing out. For years. I think we're into it. We wanted to do it. We're ready for it. So we'll probably just get to it. If you got engaged, we should make another beautiful, classy first lady. Well, thank you. The Westmans, what was that, 1247? Sorry, lost in the scroll. She is beautiful. She's very smart. She's a great athlete. She does the stuff I love to do. She does it well. It's not pretend. She's actually good at this stuff, which is, I do some weird stuff between the outdoor stuff and the shooting and the hunting and the fishing and all that nonsense. So it's nice to have someone that's doing those things with you. So when do taxpayers get reimbursed for all of the lawfare? That's actually a great question. I would love to see that happen. Unfortunately, that's not the way the system works right now. I think that should change, especially when it's so flagrant. Remember, what was it, the $50-something million for Russia? Total bullshit. Okay? Didn't stop them from spending it. There's no consequence for them spending it. The Democrats are more than happy to use House money to fund their political lawfare. So I'd love to see it end. I'd love to get that money back ourselves. I'd love to be able to get reimbursed for the legal fees that we spend defending this crap over the years. Not the way it works right now, but maybe we got to change that as well. We need all the Trumps to pass through the White House. Eric, 1986. Well, oh boy. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a great honor to be thought about it. Right now, my only focus is trying to, help in whatever way I can to have my father have the most successful presidency he can. Set it up for someone who can carry that mantle forever. That's a big deal. Kathleen Carmel, evil won't win. I know. I hope you're right, but it will if we don't all get engaged, if we don't all, just get off our asses, get out there and do everything we possibly can to defend our country. When does your dad ban the COVID vaccine? I thought they did something about that. They're not mandating it and stuff anymore. I don't know that you can ban it, but you certainly can't. We're not about forcing people to take it. If some, person still thinks that makes sense, let them do it, I guess. I wouldn't, but we're certainly not going to force it. And they got rid of a bunch of other stuff on the vaccine schedule. I think we discussed that on the show last week. These what was it, 75 vaccines that you jack up some, toddler, not even a toddler, some infant with, for diseases that have been eradicated, or, frankly, the chance of you suffering a consequence of the vaccine itself is far greater than ever getting the, ailment it's supposed to prevent. That stuff's going out the window as well. So that's a big one. Dietrich Trump, I love you. Donald Trump Jr., thank you. I love you too, Dietrich. That's okay, I guess, in 2025. Sounds like a dude, but all good. Well, I just answered that question, anti-vaxxer Yogi. I think pretty clear about that one. And, we've never been for, the mandates of those things. That didn't happen with us. If people want to do it, they can do it. If they don't, probably where I would go. But we're going to let people make up their own minds, but we're not going to force them to do these things. Do you support, let's see. Okay, let's see. Some of these things get a little too much, guys. I get it. I think we covered the anti-whiteism. It doesn't have to be every comment in the in the thing. We need equality. Okay, we got to stop the nonsense where qualified, especially white males, don't get anything. That doesn't mean you're putting down other people. You're just allowing a meritocracy to exist, which is the way it's supposed to be. Jules 15, sending you love. DJ TJR from California. You and your family are amazing. Thank you, Jules. I appreciate that. I hope you guys have an incredible Christmas. I hope you have an incredible New Year. More on Wink. How coked up are we today? Not at all. You guys are really funny. Honestly, okay, so if that was my thing, and again, no one's ever accused me of being a low energy individual, but if it was my thing, don't you think someone would actually have some proof? Don't you think, if I was doing that and I was that messed up, that someone would have had pictures of it, something? I get it. Everyone wants to forget about Hunter Biden. That didn't happen, but he's out there videoing himself, and other people are videoing him, and it's on every laptop of every enemy in the world. And yet somehow it's me. When they tried blaming me for the cocaine that was found in the White House 2 years into the Biden presidency, where I hadn't been there in quite literally over 2 years, that was still somehow me. So, the memes aren't that good, guys. You got to step up your game a little bit. I'm sure there's plenty of other things you could pick on me about, but that's not one of them. Never been my thing. Doesn't mean I haven't had, a few too many beers before, but the other stuff, never my thing. Mr. Bird, Merry Christmas. Thank you. You too. It's nice to be able to say Merry Christmas again, isn't it? Are big arrests coming soon, Don? I hope so. I mean, some of the stuff that's going on right now, people need to be held accountable. I'm not your buddy guy. I agree. Accountability is huge. They got to go after those people. They got to do that. Now, you can't just show up and just start arresting people, right? You got to actually do it right. You have to go through the process. If you don't, that's how the people who are actually guilty get off of these things. But I'm all for it. You're on Adderall. You actually said you're in Adderall, anti-vaxxer Yogi. I'm not on either. I'm not on anything. The only thing I got in is I got a nicotine pouch in my upper lip right now. That's about the extent of it, and probably quite a bit of caffeine because I've been going pretty hard since about 6:30 this morning. Let's see. Yeah, mass arrest. Okay, I'm like I said, if people are guilty, they should do it. Robin Love Taylor, Merry Christmas, Don. Give the family my love. I'm still supporting our beloved CIC, i.e. your dad. Bunch of acronyms. Probably can't catch them before. Nope, lost them in the feed. But thank you. Let's see. Just catapult illegals into the ocean. That's probably, a little aggressive, but I think the deportation numbers are amazing. People are self-deporting because the free meal ticket is gone. The incentive to come here and get sucked into this, that's all gone. So that's a big deal. So it's not just the hundreds of thousands they've actually already deported. It's the people who are self-deporting because America's not giving them the gravy train on the American taxpayer. That's a big deal. Let's see. Chevy 72770. Don't listen to these trolls, goofs. They love projection. They do. It's fine, but we gotta talk to the trolls. We gotta talk to everyone a little bit. So I'm happy to talk about these things. Is Triggered 2 book in the works? I was working on one, and honestly, so much stuff is going on, and so many it's just to do it right. When I've written 2 books, but 2 bestsellers, there's so many things I could write right now that it's hard. You got to do it right. I would probably, the amount of people that are reading them now relative to like other ways of just me being able to get out there, probably not the most effective. I was in the process of doing one, spent a lot of time on it, and it was like just, by the time I was like, getting ready to start almost finalizing, it was like, man, it's the information, the stuff that's going on, it's happening so quickly that it almost felt a little bit less relevant. And so I literally stopped after, hundreds of hours of work. So may have to get it back going. Could probably revive some of that and come up with plenty of new content. But I feel like you almost have to write a book every month with everything that's going on right now. And honestly, I wish I had the time for that, but I do not. Watch the GOA videos. I follow the GOA a lot. I've done stuff with them. Go to SHOT Show. And obviously a huge Second Amendment guy. So I'll check out something new if I'm missing it, but I don't think I'm missing much right now, but perhaps I am. Again, it's hard to keep up with everything. Sugar Bear, your father's the best president. I misspelled a little bit, but that's okay. Mr. Bird, I like your books. Thank you. So I wrote, Triggered was my first book that was sort of about the campaign story and how me, as a guy from New York City, growing up in a real estate family in a very blue area, could actually still be a lifelong conservative, and then the story of the campaign. So that was kind of an interesting one. And then I wrote Liberal Privilege going into the 2020 election because, obviously there was a lot to talk about. And then I was called a conspiracy theorist about the Hunter Biden stuff and all the things that we all knew were probably real. And they turned out all to be correct. And, at the same time, those guys wouldn't even put me in certain bookstores. They wouldn't even let it get out there. Still turned into a bestseller, but New York Times wouldn't even look at it for the bestseller list. I just didn't get counted, the weeks that I was up there, even if I was number 1 on Amazon, even if I was number 1 on Barnes & Noble, even if I was number 1 on Books A Million, etc. So, Eva Poppy, 2021, I like your nipples. Well, thank you. Thank you, Eva. I guess I'll keep them. Maybe it's a little cold in the room right now. Let's see. There's a lot of people hating on each other in the comments because, I don't know, this, listen guys, it's the comments on the live stream. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of shit talking. That's the way it is. You get it. LOL, Don Jr. read every pervy comment. Well, Fleet Lord Avatar, you got to read, give the people what they want. If they want to talk about it, I'll cover it. I mean, there's a lot of nonsense that sort of gets repeated over and over again, but sometimes you got to have some fun with this too, See, Agent 77, nice nipple. See, it seems to be a consensus, at least amongst a few of you sicker people. Let's see. Does Baron watch is? I don't know what that means. Probably this. I know we talk about politics on occasion, and so, I imagine he knows about it and probably catches some of it. Let's see. Okay, now it's just people yelling at each other. Ignore the noise. Thanks, buddy. You're probably right, but it's sort of hard to go through the live stream when people just start infighting on there, trying to get to a question. It's just people talking about how anti-vax they are versus someone else who's also probably anti-vax. And cover General Flynn. I've had General Flynn on the show. I don't know what's new. I think I saw him. He was at Mar-a-Lago the other day. He's a great guy. Canada's ready. I hope so. I'm not sure that's right, but I hope so. Who do you like for VP on the 28 Vance ticket? I don't know. It's interesting. A lot. I think we actually have a bench for the first time in a long time, so that's kind of nice. But a lot can happen in the next 3 years to see who that person could and should be. So, let's see how it plays out. You can say someone today and then something happens that you're like, maybe not. But, I think JD is doing an incredible job, and he's doing awesome. So that's good. Are you in Florida with Dad and your children for Christmas? Yes, I am. I'll be over there. I'll be with my kids, on Christmas Eve. I was with 2 of my kids today for a few hours. We'll all do, Christmas dinner as a family with my dad on Christmas Day. So, we'll be out there and doing plenty of family stuff. I've been on the road so much lately that it's actually been hard. So I definitely have a little bit of making up to do. It's just been pretty nuts and wild. And let's see, sweather@gmail.com. Tell us a little bit more about your fiance. Well, maybe would you guys want me to do a show with Bettina on here, and you can watch her just probably destroy me? She's very smart and very funny. So it's sometimes that's a problem for me because I tend to run my mouth, speak first, think later, especially in a format like this where looking for the instant laugh or whatever it may be. So maybe we'll have to have her on here, but she's amazing and I'm really psyched. Reformative radio, yeah. AmFest was a disaster. No, it wasn't. It was actually awesome, and I was there. So, and I've been there every year. It was the largest by a lot. Yeah, are there people in our movement that don't see eye to eye on certain things? Yes, and that's great. That's what we have to do. We actually have to have that discourse. That's what Charlie taught us, that discourse is everything. When the discourse stops, the violence starts. So having those conversations, unlike the Democrats who just sort of blindly follow, whatever the talking points are of the day, like the Borg, they can't think for themselves. We have people that actually disagree on things. I can agree with both of those people on both sides on most things, but perhaps not everything. And so, that's a really big deal. And I think that's an important part of our movement. And that's an important part of debate. Being good at it is actually not just repeating yourself over and over again, but actually having conversations about things that are real. So I think it's important to have that. And I think we need more of that. We need to keep that going. I'd say for so many of you watching, the young people especially, get used to having those conversations and arguing your point, understanding the other point, even if you don't just agree with it, that's going to make you better. Okay, so there seems to be a lot of consensus for Bettina on the show. So we may have to... Poor girl. She's going to have to... Maybe we'll have to have the live chat and you can ask her about me. You guys like that idea? I think that could be nothing but a headache for me, but I may have to... I may have to do that. Your brother's book, Under Siege, was a really good read. Jules 15, thank you. I appreciate it. I think a couple stories in there about me as well. But yeah, that's a little bit more current and recent than mine, so that was cool. From Canada with the greatest love and gratitude, Snowy Storms. Thank you. Listen, guys, whatever we can do to help, but you got to get your own citizens also up off their ass and a big deal. Okay, so now they're the same people. The same person keeps trying to do the same thing about AmFest. It was, like I said, guys, I was there. People are energized. People are having debate. Just because Tucker and Ben Shapiro may not agree on something doesn't mean the movement's collapsing. Most of the people, by the way, and someone said it really well today, somewhere on Truth Social or X, that like all of that rift, like the vast majority of it is like created by people who are like the neocon class of the Republican Party, which is like 2%. The people retiring from Heritage Foundation, they're leaving. Oh my God! It's like those are the people who were never MAGA. They never were going to be MAGA. They were probably Democrat voters, and they're leaving. Like that's fine. No one cares. I guess they're probably propped up by some of the donor base that thinks their opinions still matter. We see some of that with some of these legacy guys that haven't been right in 20 years or so that still have, their prominent spots on TV and elsewhere. But they're irrelevant other than, I guess, they still probably have, some, donors or whatever it may be pushing them to be out there, even though no one's really with them. So it looks like they're punching above their weight or, it looks like they actually have weight or, a demo, but they don't. So it's all nonsense. And that's fine. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, then more infighting. Legacy officials need to get out. It's time. Yeah, well, they're not going to do that, guys. They've made their living in politics. They're not just going to walk away. We just have to, help make them irrelevant, and that's how we do that. But it's by having conversations and then ultimately coming to a consensus. And you see where people actually stand on these issues, and then you could vote accordingly. Reformative rate, you don't listen to us and you don't address our issues. I don't know. I think I'm answering everything. Just because I don't answer 97 questions from you doesn't mean I'm not answering or not listening. I think I've answered 2 of your questions today already, which is more than probably anyone. So just because you don't get the answer that you want doesn't mean I'm not answering the question or ducking it. I'm just not going to keep sort of going to the trolls. Let's see. Manifest destiny is real. Yes, it is. That's why we're focusing on our hemisphere for a change. So that's a big deal. What's going on in Greenland? That's a good question. I know. I saw yesterday, I guess news broke that Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, was just appointed. I guess he's like a magistrate or something like that to like oversee that. He's a good friend and a great guy. Other than sending him a quick congratulations, I don't really know what's going on with that. But it means that it hasn't been forgotten, and he's a guy that gets things done. Again, he was the former Attorney General of Louisiana. He was the guy that brought sort of the suit against Meta and a couple of the other big social media giants for silencing conservatives and having the government essentially, force that on us. So, this is a guy that believes what we believe. And so if there's something to be done there, I'm sure he'll be a great guy to be doing that. So let's see. Get Greenland. I agree with that one as well. I think that's, again, the third question I've answered from that one. So anyway, guys, I got to get to a dinner, but really appreciate it. We'll do more of the Q&A stuff when I get to be in studio and when I'm not on the road, as long as it's not the same question a billion times that I've answered, 15 minutes ago. Happy to do it. So guys, stay strong, stay informed, stay engaged, stay a little bit triggered. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Do it now. In the future, what I should do is I'll do the live chat for as long as I keep getting real amounts of likes as opposed to people just trolling. We can do that. And just so all of you can see it, if you want to stick around, if you didn't tune in yesterday, here are my remarks from Turning Point yesterday. Have a good one, guys.
We have a chance to transform our government once and for all to function as it was intended, to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. With the team that we have assembled, with what we're going to be able to do, with what we're able to expose, I think we can create a generational shift. They're trying to crush the family. Very few people understand the consequences of standing up to the nonsense, standing up to the swamp, standing up to big government, standing up to the mainstream media, standing up to big tech, standing up to the seemingly insurmountable obstacles that they've put up. But you guys did that. This is now the America First Party.
Please welcome Donald Trump Jr.
What's going on, Turning Point? Wow. You guys are a serious tribute to everything that Charlie stood for. The last time I gave a big speech was actually right here in Phoenix at his memorial, and it was a little bit of a different feeling. But to see this many young, patriotic Americans in a room, record numbers for Turning Point, just shows what's going on. Charlie's courage is why you guys are all here. His willingness to lead, to push people through is incredible. And honestly, I was concerned. I was worried. I was worried that without Charlie, this room would go out like it was 10 years ago when we started this incredible voyage, and it would dissipate. But this is literally double what it was last year, and that was a record. So that is a testament to you, to your patriotism, to your bravery, to your resolve, and to everything that Charlie stood for. So you guys fired up? You guys having some fun? How many students are in the room right now? Raise your hands. I feel good, guys. I feel good about the future. Who's ready to take the next step and start a turning point chapter at a college that perhaps isn't there already? Who's doing it at high schools right now? I love this. Guys, we cannot sit this one out, okay? Everything depends on it. The future of our country, our children, Western civilization. It's now on all of you. So, other than God, family, and country, Charlie had some incredible things we needed to talk about in politics. You heard some of that from Speaker Johnson just now. But immigration matters. It's a fight that this administration is taking on. We've realized that if you import the third world, you become the third world. And we're not going to let that happen. Because of radical Democrat policies, millions of people poured into this country that should have never been there. They jacked up the price of rents, the cost of goods, diminished our healthcare system and our education systems. And that's all ending. I heard a little bit of a snippet from Tom Homan, who's probably like typecasting for getting this done. And we are winning. We are taking back our country. Make no mistake, guys, it was intentional, okay? It took my father 2 weeks to shut down the border, to end the insanity. We didn't need new policies. We didn't need new people there. We needed a new president who was willing to follow the law and get things done. We're seeing the consequences of Joe Biden's policies and Democrat policies in general. Terror attacks. A couple of our National Guardsmen were killed a few weeks ago. We're seeing the crime. We're seeing the chaos. And responsibility for that doesn't just fall on Democrats. It falls on so many of the weak Republicans who just capitulated to the D.C. swamp. And we're going to put an end to that, too. Some of the lauded voices, even in the Republican Party, demanded we bring in tens of thousands of unvetted Afghan refugees. For years, they turned Minnesota into little Somalia. How's that working out for anyone? I'm not sure, guys. I keep hearing diversity is our strength, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. My father, J.D. Vance, Charlie fought to stop the nonsense. A country cannot survive when it imports people who don't share their values. We don't owe the world a thing. We owe Americans their American dream, and we intend to fulfill that. It sounds tough, but we deserve it for the future, for the next generation, for all of you who are going to take on the mantle and lead this country to continued greatness. Now, we're getting rid of the nonsense, and it's going to be great. The other big issue that Charlie and I fought so hard for was the Maha movement. Charlie, myself, Susie Wiles, a small cadre of people, were the guys that brokered that deal. So we stop allowing Big Pharma to put profits over actual health, to stop the insanity of jacking up our children with thousands of vaccines they don't need. Profits don't matter more than health. And when you do need actual health, they're fighting to make sure that Americans pay less than Europe. None of this nonsense where you buy a drug for $1,000 in Europe. American drugs are being sold for pennies on the dollar. That doesn't work, and they ended that with the most favored nation's executive order just a couple of days ago.
And the big one of the ones I've been fighting since like 2015. I didn't realize it would even turn into a thing because it was always so insane to me. The transgender issue. There's going to be no more castrating our children for big pharma and medical profit. That bullshit ends now. Federal funding is being cut off for sex change operations for minors. I never understood it. I say, wait. So a 3-year-old can decide to permanently mutilate their body, be put on toxic drugs for the rest of their life. But a 25-year-old has no idea what they're doing when they're signing for their student loans. The most elite in America, the academically inclined, somehow don't seem that elite when they need a plumber to pay their student loans. That ends too. And the number one issue, again, outside of God, family, and country for Charlie, something he fought and something he died for, was free speech. Free speech is alive and well in 2025. Charlie rejected the notion of being canceled for what you thought, for having that dialogue. Charlie, on it every day, he opened up one of the largest platforms in the world to those who despised him most. He allowed them to speak. He had that dialogue. They killed him for it. They killed him for it. Not because he was so radical, but because he was so effective. When people were able to hear both sides of an argument, wow, it's amazing what happens. For years, we've fought the censorship complex. We've fought the mainstream media. People couldn't even get basic truth out there. What binds us together, what matters more than the disagreements, is the ability to have that discourse. The real enemy, it's not Steve Bannon or Tucker Carlson or Ben Shapiro. It's the radical left that murdered Charlie and celebrated it on a daily basis. Free speech is under attack everywhere. In Europe, they're putting people in jail for basic truth. One of your family members was raped by a roving gang of migrant thugs, and you said they shouldn't even be here. You get thrown in jail. The rapists get an apology and get let off. Think about that. That's happening right now in the UK. Do not let that happen to America. We are the last stand for common sense, for free speech, for truth, and for decency. Do not squander that. We have to live that freedom every day. America, guys, is not just an idea. Washington loves the saying, the issue is beyond right and left. No, it's not. That's a lie. We are in a real argument about what America is, what it stands for, whether it survives for our children and our grandchildren after them. America's not just an idea. It's a place with borders, with land, with history and battlefields, with patriots and incredible people who want to see that perpetuate itself. They want to live that dream. The belief that it's just an idea and it doesn't matter. That's how you lose a country, and that's been the other side's intention for far too long. There is no backup to America, guys. You are it. You are that last line of defense. Patience, discipline, long-term victory. These days, people want instant results. Remember the day after my father was inaugurated on January 20th, you saw the left. They ran with their sound. The price of eggs hasn't gone down. I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. Like, it's been like 14 hours. Of course, that then happened. Inflation hasn't gone down yet. It's been a week. Well, guys, it's hard to undo 4 years of idiocy. Inflation's under control, but when you have compound interest on double-digit inflation for 4 years, those prices are still too high. We have to work on that, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a plan. It takes a process. We're building something that lasts. We have to be in that together through common sense, long-term approach. You guys are Charlie's legacy. You're also the biggest beneficiaries of his movement, of his ideas. You guys are going to be doing this when I'm probably long gone. That matters. Don't squander that opportunity. Keep that wave going. For the kids who haven't even been born yet, for the children that you're going to all have, that hopefully you're mostly too young. I'm looking around, it's pretty young to have that going. It's why I got into this. When Charlie and I met back in 15 and 16, we're spending all this time together. I had no idea. I was a real estate developer from New York. We built buildings. But when I saw what the other side was willing to do, how they were so glib about just destroying our country, you said, we have to fight. We have to engage. This isn't just a conference, guys. It's a movement. Charlie built this for you, and as I said in my eulogy to Charlie, we are now all Charlie. There's not one person. There's not one person that's going to replace Charlie Kirk, but if each one of us take a fraction of what he was able to do, a fraction of his energy, his passion, his intelligence, and we come together, the movement that he wanted to achieve is totally doable, guys. Join a Turning Point chapter. If your school has one, get involved. If it doesn't, start one. Bring 5 friends. Build more. That's how we win. Become unafraid. And if you're in this room, you've already taken those steps. You've done that. But you need to open the door for others. You need to make it okay for them to take that step. Get out there. Do it on college campuses, in classrooms, in conversations. Don't ever, ever give up. We have to stay involved. We have to stay in the game. Midterms are coming around the corner, and make no mistake, the Democrat Party wants to do whatever they possibly can to shut this movement down. Not just the Democrats, the rhinos. You see the manufactured attacks on JD, myself, my father, anyone who understands that this isn't the Republican Party anymore. It's the America First Party. It's the Make America Great Again Party. And we are not going back. The same I love it, guys. By the way, if someone wasn't chanting USA next to you, you know they're a Democrat plant, right? Because they just can't do it. It's like pouring holy water on a vampire. This presidency, guys, didn't happen by accident. There's been a long undercurrent of Americans being felt left behind. You saw it. It's been going crazy in the last this week alone on social media when you're hearing about all the people, especially young white men who for a generation were left behind by DEI. They were told, well, you know, you don't check a couple of boxes, so you may be better, you may be smarter, but you're not getting into that college. You're not getting that job. You're certainly not getting a promotion. But you better damn well realize that you're still privileged despite being discriminated against. It's funny, but it's actually happening. And that's why everyone has to engage. Everyone can't sit out the midterm process, or this becomes a 2-year presidency, not a 4-year presidency. We have, for the first time, we have a bench of great people who can continue the movement that my father started, that can fill the void that he recognized in hardworking Americans, that Charlie so aptly understood and promoted. But you guys are it. Speak boldly, organize relentlessly, stay in the game at all costs. Again, you guys are the biggest beneficiaries of this movement. But if you don't do that, you're also the people that are going to suffer hardest and longest if the radicals get what they want. You have to be a part of it. You have to continue that legacy. If you want to save America, if you want America to continue the way we all want to and the way we love, you get to work. I wanted to call in a little guest. He may not be here today, but I wanted to make sure he had a chance to say hi. Mr. President?
Hello, everybody.
Can you guys hear?
I want to be with you, but I'll be with you soon. And I just want to say that nobody did more for me than Charlie, and there's nobody better than Erica. And you are the greatest people on earth. We won in a landslide, and we're going to continue to do it. And I just want to thank everybody. You got out there, and they voted, and they pressed doorbells. And I just want to thank you all, and I hope my son's doing a good job representing me. Otherwise, I'll have to say, you're fired, Don. You're fired. So thank you very much, and have a great day. And I hope Don makes a great speech. If he doesn't make a great speech, let me know about it. I'll give him hell.
Well, Dad, there's literally...
Everybody, Don, go have a good time. And say hello to Erica. Go have a good time, everybody.
Well, there's 30,000 young patriots in this room. The movement continues. They're looking forward to supporting you and everything that you, Charlie, and really everyone that's part of this movement stands for. So thanks, Dad. We appreciate it. We love you. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, everybody. We love you. Have a great Christmas.
Thanks, Dad. We love you.
Thank you.
I'm not good at much, guys, but I can call in the big guns sometimes, right? It's always nice when he actually picks up the phone. It's a lot more awkward when you're in front of 30,000 people and it goes to voicemail, right? So it's like, at least we still got that. But thank you guys for everything. Thanks for the sacrifices that you've made. Few people outside of Charlie, Erica, and his incredible family understand the sacrifice that it means to take on that machine. I get it, guys. I understand what they will try to do. I understand that there is no limit to how far they will go. We have all witnessed it. We have all seen it. But understand, the only thing worse than that is the consequence of our apathy if we sit it out, if we don't get out there, if we don't do everything in our power to do that. So get out there, get unafraid, and in the words of your favorite president, fight, fight, fight. Thank you, AmFest. Thank you, America. I love you guys. Merry Christmas.